Zealotes, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Amazing. One day they say shall never cease to happen. See, the United States of America has already won. That was what Donald Trump declared. That this was a short excursion. And it was over. That they have finished everything. Is it their tankers gone? Is it their drones gone? That they've run out of whatever that they will use to defend themselves. So for that matter, everybody should relax. You see that Strait of, it is opened. So, the United States of America is winning to the point that the president currently is begging people to come and help him. So that Strait of Hormuz, when the U.S. Navy finally entered there with over 1,000 ships that they have sent, Iran will be safe. They don't want to harm Iran. You understand these people? See, the thing is, these people miscalculated Iran. They underestimated Iran. They thought what happened in Venezuela was just going to be the same in every country. Like the way they have weighed Africa by trying to bombard a certain part of Nigeria to see how things will be. And we have Koto, we are melting to the point that we have African leaders who are looking for people to lobby on their part so that the bombardment will stop. So they think that everywhere is like that. They didn't know that people who have lived 5,000 years ago, survived war, understand what they call war. They have fought, they have ruled. They know the power that they have. Unlike Africa, that we do not know the power that we have. So all that we believe in is for us to be calling other people to come here. So they thought that everybody is like that. So they decided to enter. And that was when they bombed. That was 28 February 2026. Hood came out and told the world that the Iranians should flood the streets. But the people refused, rather united, like what they were trying to do in Burkina Faso by telling us that Captain Ibrahim Traore was using the gold in Burkina Faso to enrich himself. And even if he does, the gold is ours.
We are not happy with the suffering of other people, the shortage of gas, the shortage of petrol, the shortage of oil, but we have to defend ourselves. Actually, Iran from the beginning also didn't want to have any conflict in this strait, but they imposed this conflict on Iran. And Iran wants to provide opportunities for other countries, except those countries who are fighting with us. And yes, the oil and the ships which support our enemies, that they are not allowed to go. But the other countries, they should not be suffered. And Iran also doesn't want this.
Australia will not send a warship to the Persian Gulf to help protect oil traffic. Our government says no request has been received. Despite Donald Trump warning, things will be very bad for other US allies if they don't step up to help.
An Iranian drone hits next to Dubai's international airport. More flight disruptions. Israel has been hit with more Iranian missiles, while Israel continues its bombardment of southern Lebanon. The death toll in that country now tops 850.
We have thousands more targets in Iran, and we generate additional targets every day. We will continue to strike in Iran and against Hezbollah until we remove the threats.
Declassified images are flooding out of the Pentagon. Iran is essentially defeated in the president's new phrasing today and looking for a way out. But Iran says it is not looking for a ceasefire and has no interest in talks.
We don't see any reason why you should talk with Americans, because we were talking with them when they decided to attack us.
The Strait of Hormuz remains closed because of the threat of more Iranian attacks on shipping. Donald Trump has begun calling on NATO and Asian allies, even China, to send warships to help.
It'd be interesting to see what country wouldn't help us with a very small endeavor, which is just keeping the strait open.
But despite the president warning it will go badly for allies who don't step up, so far, no takers.
We member.
Australia relies for much of our refined oil on crude that normally comes through the Strait of Hormuz. On Donald Trump's logic, we should be among those nations now helping to keep that sea lane open. But Australia is not interested.
We won't be sending a ship to the Strait of Hormuz. We know how incredibly important that is, but that's not something that we've been asked or we're contributing to.
President Trump concedes there are no signs yet of Iranians rising up against their leaders. Iran says 30,000 homes have been destroyed in the bombardment. The owner of this one says the hardship merely strengthens their spirit of resistance.
All right, you're watching live now. I'm Austin Westfall. President Trump posting this earlier today. The United States of America has beaten and completely decimated Iran, both militarily, economically, and in every other way. But the countries of the world that receive oil through the Hormuz Strait must take care of that passage, and we will help a lot. The U.S. will also coordinate with those countries so that everything goes quickly, smoothly, and well. This should have always been a team effort, and now it will be. It will bring the world together toward harmony, security, and everlasting peace. The president posting that moments ago as we bring in Professor Alon Burstein, the host of the Israel-Palestine Report. Alon, we wanted to start off with that statement that the president posted. I'll just bring it up one more time. That first sentence he says there, the United States has beaten and completely decimated Iran. When you read this, what came to mind?
As always, good to see you, Austin. So I have to admit that when I first read this, I actually looked to the person standing next to me and I was like, this could be a statement of the war being over. And what I mean by that, Trump has been putting out a lot of messages. A lot of his messages are threatening messages at Iran, threatening against Iran carrying out attacks in the Strait of Hormuz or any other attacks. Other messages are messages justifying the war, saying that Iran was getting ready to take over the Middle East, was getting ready to have a nuclear bomb, all kinds of things. This message is slightly different for two reasons. One, it's essentially saying the United States has won already. You know, if Iran is in fact beaten and decimated militarily and economically and in every other way, then theoretically, with the exception of actually stopping the nuclear program, which the United States so far hasn't figured out how exactly it's going to do, the job is done in terms of the goals that the United States had set. So that's one. And then this issue of the Straits of Hormuz is much more looking towards the future. Instead of saying, Trump has been putting out messages saying the ship should go through now, it's perfectly safe, go through now, that's already trying to set the stage for the future. Saying now countries have to cooperate, now countries have to pull their weight. We know this is a very important theme for Trump when it comes to NATO, comes to a lot of things. He wants other countries to participate in securing what countries want to secure. But the fact that this message came out today, and especially as we've been talking about what the United States is sort of where it's going. Now we're 2 weeks into the war. Trump has been saying it's going ahead of schedule. It'll end. He's more and more saying it'll end when I want it to end, but he's using that word. The war is going to end much more than he was a week ago. This to me already looks like a way to say, now here's how I'm looking to the future. It was not a statement that the war is over. But theoretically, if you look at that message could have been followed up. Now the job is complete without changing anything, and it would have been the same message.
We've been looking at this map of the Strait of Hormuz, also have this look at where Karg Island is, just to give people some perspective. This is the island that everybody's been talking about as of late. Before we get into some of these questions, because you and I were talking about Karg Island, we were talking about the Persian Gulf last night, and we'll get to more of that in a moment here. I was doing some research ahead of coming up on air, and I saw that there were some rocket alerts toward parts of Israel. If you do have on your map there, are you seeing any new activity in Israel?
So this is an interactive map that is actually produced from a research center in Tel Aviv. Now, it shows all of the strikes in Iran and all of the other strikes that Iran is carrying out at other countries. I will say that ironically, because this comes from Israel, in Israel, it is not legal to publicize exactly where attacks happen because it's considered that you'll be given coordinates to the enemy, so to speak, in order to let them actually refine their targeting. So therefore, Israel, they only have one generic map. This is not where any missiles land. The missiles have targeted Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, the northern parts of Israel, and the southern parts of Israel, but this map actually does not show that. What did happen today is for the first time, there was launches that also targeted the southernmost tip of Israel, Eilat, of missiles targeting there, and fragments of that missile did manage to destroy a house. No one was injured because they were in bomb shelters, but that did happen down south. And there were more launches towards the north and central parts of Israel, Tel Aviv, throughout the night. I will say that if I move the map further, what did happen today that was pretty extreme in terms of Iran's attacks was a drone attack that several drones apparently targeted the international airport in Kuwait City. So there's this area over here. And according to reports that came out of Kuwait, the air traffic control towers were targeted and a lot of them destroyed. So that airport is probably going to be coming out of commission in the near future. Something else that we're also seeing is that in Dubai, if we go further to the United Arab Emirates, in Dubai, increasing drone activity. There's less reports of missiles towards the different Gulf countries in the last 24 hours, more drones. I don't know if that indicates a change in strategy or tactic or simply is what Iran is choosing to do today. But that's where most of the activity has been. We had a couple of those missiles at Israel, United Arab Emirates, and that very, very substantial attack at Kuwait City.
From what you're analyzing, does it appear that there are fewer Iranian missiles and drones being fired compared to the early days of this conflict?
Certainly, there's been fewer missiles fired at Israel, and this is something that some people have explained by the U.S. Air Force, primarily the Israeli Air Force, targeting the rocket launchers that Iran has, not only targeting the missiles, but targeting the rocket launchers, and that is definitely part of it. A second part, though, is, and this is something I think you and I spoke about last week, is that almost the irony of the situation is because Israel has advanced warning systems, Iran can achieve the same effect of terrorizing millions of people and sending millions of people into shelters with one missile or with 20. It's enough to have one missile targeting Tel Aviv and alarm bells will go off, sending well over 1 million or 2 million people into bomb shelters. And that's not the same thing in other countries that don't have these advanced warning systems. So ironically, because Israel has more advanced warning systems, Iran is almost calculating how many missiles to spend, so to speak, on Israel or not. I have noticed that there's been less reports of missile attacks targeting the neighboring Gulf countries of Iran and more reports of drones. But again, I've not seen anything credible to suggest that this is a result of Iran running out of missiles or something like that. It appears to be more of a tactical thing right now. Drones are harder to intercept, so it appears to be more of a tactical thing right now. Maybe it's part of the drone warfare that Iran is trying to sort of institute across the Straits of Hormuz. I'm not sure, but that is a change that we have seen. I don't know if we're going to talk about later. There was just a report that came out about Israel's interceptors and their quantity. I don't know if you want me to address that now or do you want to address that later?
Yeah. What are you hearing? That hadn't made it to me. What are you hearing about their interceptors?
So there was just a report that came out about 2 hours ago from quoting American sources saying that Israel is in, it used the word critical shortage, but that may have also been a mistranslation. I'm not sure. Could have been a large shortage of interceptors for ballistic missiles. Now, obviously, this was immediately denied in Israel, and the United States said that they had expected this and they know how much interceptors Israel has, and etc. I will say that an hour and a half after that came out, there was a report that the Israeli cabinet has been convened to authorize an immediate emergency purchase of classified military equipment. Connecting the dots, it does appear that that is likely the situation. Does Israel have enough interceptors? Very likely. And even if not, there are enough interceptors that the United States has deployed that this is not necessarily a danger, but it is indicative, possibly, of how long this war, I mean, both countries call it an operation, but this war is going on compared to maybe what Israel anticipated at the beginning. Because certainly if Israel anticipated for it to go on for more than 2-3 weeks, they would have stocked up on the interceptors before that.
More breaking news with the war in Iran. This time, Trump has reached out to a ton of different countries, our allies, near the Middle East and asked them to send their warships to the Strait of Hormuz. When news agencies reached out for comment to the White House asking Has anybody responded? They were met with no answer. I just want to point out that Trump has spent the last 12 months attacking every single ally that we have. Pointing out that I don't think he's going to get a lot of takers. Nobody wanted this war except for Israel. So, President of the United Arab Emirates, I'm probably going to massacre his president, Mohammed bin Zayed, I believe. He specifically had a message saying that we value our children and we're not going to send them to fight in a senseless war to die. Me, it was a direct response to Trump being like, some of you will die. UAE is like, no. None of our children have to die. This is a senseless war. Looking for more news stories that are short and to the point and without a lot of commentary like I do here, check out my other account. It's News with Steph. Trying to give people another option besides Parnas. I get it. Everybody loves him, but there are a lot of stories that he does not cover, especially things to do with Gaza and Israel. And I will fill that vacuum to the best of my ability as a poor, broke, single mom. Definitely don't have the money or the resources to do this like he does, but I'm going to do my best because people deserve to know what's going on without a Zionist twist.
They thought Iran is just like Africa, it's like Venezuela, it's like Iraq, it's like Afghanistan. But when they entered, they saw that no. When they tell you that a town is far, no matter what, there is another in front of it. So, things are not easy. To the point that Ogatari is now begging people. Even the people that they don't want them to be their friends, they don't ever want them to do what with them. They're asking them for help so that they can open the Strait of Hormuz. But Iran has sent a very strong warning to these people that if you dare, you go collect. If you dare, you go collect. You see that strait? Nothing is passing except countries that have nothing to do with the United States of America. Any other thing cost 90. And they will make sure that that strait will not be open. Then the foreign minister also went ahead with a tweet. I'm sure that Oga Tarif is bringing this thing up again that Iran is looking for ceasefire. They are looking for negotiations. I am thinking that way because the man came out today again and said Iran is not looking for any ceasefire. They are defending themselves and the strikes will continue because they believe that they must defend themselves. So, what people are saying, analysts and this thing is not going to end now. This war will not end now. And it's like people are running out of it. So they are now asking for, to the point that they are, according to the report, they are traveling to where, to be asking for things from friends so that they can use to defend themselves. They didn't prepare for this. And this is a lesson, but it's like African leaders, they are not learning. And look at what is happening in the Middle East. And you still have an African leader accepting to host French bases on the continent of Africa. These are leaders, African youth. If we don't rise up like Captain Ibrahim Traore is calling, like P.O. Lumumba is calling us to do, it will be very difficult for us. Because it's like our leaders are not thinking about the generation, the lives of the African. Who knows what will trigger France to go and join and something will come here. Like, I don't know what is wrong with us. Africans, we have just thrown our power away. These democratic later leaders have thrown our power away. But Africans will love oppression so much to the point that we now see our oppressor to be the God that we need to worship. And this is what they want. Africa is an easy way out because Africans always have this mentally enslaved mentality that we are peaceful. You are not peaceful people. Like Captain Ibrahim Traore will always tell you, see, if you are looking for freedom, you should be ready to fight. Because freedom is fought for, it's not given, it's taken. And how do you take it? Because the person that is oppressing you, you must fight to take it. So you, the Africans who claim you have peace and you are peaceful people, you need to rethink. Like Captain Ibrahim Traore said, this winter, the black winter, it will be deadly. A lot will go. And you see the bases, the warships that are arriving in Africa. Are we at war? And you claim you have peace? I hope by now we the youth will now have a second thought of the world. And that so-called peace we claim we have. People are not knowing peace. And that black winter that Captain Ibrahim Traore spoke about, you should know that this is part of it. You should prepare. If you want peace, you need to fight for that. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall. And united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world and in the United States of America.